Hare Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna to one and all. So today we are continuing the 17th chapter, and what is it called? Name of the 17th chapter. Hare Krishna. What is the name of the 17th chapter? Yesterday only we learned.
What the word Mataji? Vibhuti Yoga. I think some Vibhuti word.
Thank you so much. No problem. Divisions of faith. Sraddhätraya Vibhäga Yoga. So divisions of faith. So based on faith, we had people categorized into three. What are the three, categories of people based on faith? What are they called? What adhikaris?
Madhikari, Machimadhikari, Adhikari.
Kanishtadhikari.
Very nice, very nice. I'm so proud of you all. So basically, that's the categorization. The word adhikari or adhikaram is totally misunderstood by us. According to us, we relate adhikari or adhikaram to potency, right? We here, Krishna very clearly tells adhikari, from all the things. It says that not just your power, but position for which you have a duty to do, right? A power is fine, but a power always comes with a responsibility. But today, if you see, everybody has power, but absolutely they disown the responsibility, right? So that's exactly what the whole thing is about. So now, before we take off in the chapter, let's start off with Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna. Om Ajnanatimurandasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpadarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Come on, all of you. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, one time, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I thought I will give one more extra dose of Krishna because the Monday, Tuesday, you all are not going to have. So now let's start with the chapter. So we already are moving here with Arjuna's inquiries, right? He asks about unauthorized worship. And because two extremes we know, atheist, fine. Theist, who is completely believer of God, is fine. But most of us fall under the middle category, right? So we're thinking, oh my God, where do I fall? So Arjuna is addressing. This doesn't mean that Arjuna is anywhere in between. Because that's called Mishra Bhakti, right? Mixed Bhakti. Arjuna is a devotee of Krishna, right? And Bhakta. So that's very clear. So Lord Krishna answers the three modes determines one's worship. So in the mode of goodness, whom do you worship? In the mode of goodness, whom do you worship?
Demigods.
Wow, I was expecting another answer. Thank you so much. Perfect. So in the mode of goodness, if you worship, it's the demigods. So I think that's important. And foods in the three modes. Thanks. Light off just. Foods in the three modes, right? Even foods determine the three modes. It is very important you read Shastra. Otherwise, what happens is you will be bound by people around, right? So I have seen that, for a lot of people who are actually in sattvic food, happened in my case also. There was a situation telling that, okay, something is wrong with you. And they'll make us feel, oh my God, if I don't eat a spicy food, then maybe something is wrong with my palate or with my stomach or with my brain, right? So that's how people in the material world will position. And so that's why it's very important, not only with one is devotee association, sadhu, shastra, and guru is so important, right? Shastras tell you which is the right thing. So you are convinced with proof. Hare Krishna. And we have already seen sacrifices, right? Foods we read, and we are, okay, sacrifices, austerity, charity. These three should never be given up. So that is at any cost. And then finally, we are going to see Om Tat Sat, which is very important. And we will read in detail that. So we quickly read all this and the various things, right? So the heaven, he will reach Karmi if he does it properly, but provided the focus is on Krishna. And same way, Satvik Guna, right? A guy will focus on Jnana and reach the Brahmajyoti. Whereas Suddha Sattva, why are we targeting? Because we want Krishna, and Prema Bhakti is ultimate. Demigods, you all already told this, and we don't need to worry about all these demonic people because we are ultimately going to reach the abode of Krishna. And food determines, right? So the very palatable food is in the goodness, whereas stored food except prasad is, which is very risky. Now, what is the restriction on prasad? When, where, and how should you eat prasad?
No restriction, Mataji. Can be eaten anywhere.
So sweet, Arun. Thank you so much. So no restriction. Can eat anywhere, anytime, any place. So sacrifice doesn't mean losing something, but focusing on the particular thing, which is the japa, and you chant, right? So that does not have an expectation or anything in return. Whereas if you have any expectation on any of the yagnas, then you go into the passion. And anything which is against the scriptural injunction means that, and without hymns, without paying the pujari, without serving food, will come under tamas, ignorance, right? And, austerity of the body. See, many times we are very important. Krishna conscience is very much, many times misunderstood to be, one is inertia, and second misunderstanding is we have to give up family. We have to give up everything. No. We don't have to do that, right? So you have, yes, you can give up, but never it is insisted. Nowhere in Arjuna he is told that give up and run. So he says that you worship the Lord, Brahmanas, spiritual master, and superiors like father and mother at every time. But mental concoctions in the name of religion say that once you are wearing something, even for Shabrimala, they say that when you wear, you don't fall on your parents' foot because you're like God and you're God and the parents fall on your foot. So these are all mental concoctions because it's not mentioned anywhere in the Shastra. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence are related to the body, right? What we did these two, right? So we did the first session. Okay. So, and how much did we do yesterday? Do you recall? How much of it we did? Till here?
Up to 13, I think.
We did here?
We had to start from here.
You have to start from here? Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
So this is where I explained. So therefore, so that's kept quiet. And when we are talking about austerity, there are two types of austerity, internal and external. So internal is japa, right? So you clean yourself, and external is also a lot of things, right? Taking bath, like Yama Niyama, we read in the 6th chapter, what are all the things we should do, what we should not do. Non-violence also, ahimsa also means giving Krishna to the soul, because soul is, the property of the soul is bliss, happiness, right? And if you do not give that happiness to the soul, then, the soul is never happy. Like how we say, intelligence, the property or the key of the intelligence is the determination, right? That soul needs bliss, right? Hare Krishna. Whoever wants to read the text can read, and I'm going to read this. Hare Krishna. Dvaja Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam Saucham Ajavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsacha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Hare Krishna.
The austerity of the body consists in this worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence are also austerities of the body. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Arun. So, so cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy. So I did tell you all the story, right? I told you the story of Krishna and Dhruva. Did I, or I did not tell in this class? Did I tell you the story of not Dhruva, Durvasa Muni and Krishna? Yes or no? You all keep thinking. And
no, Mataji.
No, I didn't tell you that. Okay, thank you, Mohandas. So I come back to celibacy there. When I'm telling that story shortly. So Meanwhile, we'll proceed because it's a long chapter. I don't want to run short of time. So, Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priya hitam chayat swadhyaya vyashanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Hare Krishna.
Austerity of speech consists in speaking truthfully and beneficially and in avoiding speech that offends. One should also recite the Vedas regularly. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, so it's speaking truthfully. Nobody can be an example like Yudhishthira Maharaj, Harichandra. So these are all classic examples of truthfulness, right? And avoiding the speech that offends. So truthfulness also means you should avoid. Example, hey, my son got 90%. Oh, very good. My maid servant got 95%. It's truth. He's not. My aunt used to tell us. Okay, every time anyone tells, she'll tell my driver's person. Now she's not meaning to hurt, nor does she mean harm. But the fact is, being truthful is also trying not to be foolish, right? Is it required for the context? Is it required? If somebody is going to tell, I've conducted a wedding for my daughter here and I put 50 sovereigns. Someone tells him, oh, acha, very nice. But my maid also did, for 60 sovereigns. Not required because this is indirectly going to offend, right? So that is there. So we know a friend of ours who lost a family, right? So we all took a conscious call about not discussing about our children. Family, yes, but then not specifically about children. So, so that kind of thinking is not hiding the truth. It's about avoiding a pain area, right? So when someone asks, when you ask, right, how are the kids, we'll say, yeah, fine. We won't like emphasize, like normally we tell, right, oh, my child did this, we did this, we stop that. So these are the things which are very, very important. And also one should recite Vedas. That we've seen why it's so important. So can someone tell me who's in this picture? And Arun Prabhu, you can read, or anyone else can read the content. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead and read.
And serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind.
Hare Krishna. So, serenity, simplicity, self-control are so important. Purity of thought matters. Today we tell that thoughts doesn't matter. In Kali Yuga, only your actions matter. But what are actions? The thoughts turn into actions, right? So if we have a particular thing which we are seeing and they're very gory, right? You keep seeing of ghost movies, let's say, for example, and your night you're filled with ghost thoughts. When you get up and switch on the light, even to take a glass of water, you will see a screen shaking and you'll think it's ghost because your thoughts are filled with it, right? So that's what happens. I'm not talking about good thought or bad thought. I'm just talking about any thought, right, which you fill. So this is the hero whom we read. Anybody guess who this guy is?
Sukadeva.
Sukadev, thank you so much. Many told Krishna because for a second, so I was just wondering if that's what you were told. Is Sukadev, and after 14 years, when he is born after Krishna's request, he runs naked. A 14-year boy, a typical teenager running naked, the girls are taking bath, they don't bother. It's like a child. If you have a 1-year child in your room, you don't really bother, right? But you have to be dressed or undressed, right? If you're out of a bathroom, you won't care. But if the child is 5 years, because a child can differentiate. Vyasa is also very elevated, but he is a grandson. So the moment Vyasa comes, who's much elder, fatherly role, even then they cover themselves, right? So this is and they could feel it. They could feel that Vyasa is a Drasta, they know it, but they could see that Sukadev is a very innocent, grown-up child, right? So now we're talking about Shraddha, Hare Krishna, that is faith. Sraddhaya paraya taptam tapastadvividam narai apaha kankshibir utthe satvikam parichakshate. Hare Krishna.
This threefold austerity practiced by men whose aim is not to benefit themselves materially, but to please the Supreme is of the nature of goodness. Hare Krishna.
So very clearly they're saying the threefold austerity, right? Practiced by men. What are the three austerities? They aim in not to benefit themselves materially, but to please the Supreme. So, for example, there is this parikrama. Parikrama means going around. And we have Vrindavan Parikrama. I think it's about 16 miles. I'm not very sure. If someone knows, they can enlighten. Same way Govardhan. That's Govardhan Parikrama. That's the same thing. Go around Govardhan. And Mayapur Parikrama, right? So we all went. That is Dweep, 9 islands. So there we go by the sea. So Prabhu is so sweet. He said, if someone wants to read, please go ahead. Yes, please, all of you. We are in the last but one chapter. So try reading so that we'll get the practice. We'll get right. So we will do this parikrama, right? And you don't expect, you don't tell, I will do the parikrama, I get something. The moment you do that, then you go into Rajas. As long as you just do parikrama for the happiness of Krishna. Satkaramana pujartam. Oh, I didn't give it. Yeah, we did that. Tapodambena chaivaya kriyate tad iha prokam rajasam chalam adruvam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The ostentatious penances and austerities which are performed in order to gain respect, honor, reverence are said to be in the mode of passion. They are neither stable nor permanent. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So typically any done for the name. Example, you will see a lot of them who try and arrange for huge pujas, yagnas, even Lakshmi puja. All this they mainly do because they want the name, right? If you take even Ganesha in Hyderabad, I was telling yesterday, they say that this road has this street Ganesha, and another political party will come and install another Ganesha, and on the 11th day they do Visarjan, right? They dump that same Ganesha whom they prayed into the sea or into the lake or into a water body, right? So, and many of them, they will do for a specific reason. Like I am going to go for a promotion or an exam, so therefore, I pray. Right? So all this comes under mode of passion. So let's see ignorance. Hare Krishna 17.19. Muda grahe natmana pidaya tapah parasyo sadhanatanda tamasam udahritam. Hare Krishna.
And those penances and austerities which are performed foolishly by means of obstinate self-torture or to destroy or injure others are said to be in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So they said that those penance austerities performed foolishly, right? Self-torture. Example, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu. Nowhere you can go to a parent and ask, can I cut my hand? Or, if you don't eat, typical teenager style, right? If you don't give me this, I will fast. I will not eat. So all this is creating self-torture. How we don't like torturing ourselves, torturing them, hurting them. So will Krishna not like it. Right? Krishna 7.20. Datavam iti yaddanam diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha tadhanam satvikam smritam. Hare Krishna.
That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So they're talking about dana, which is charity, right? Even charity, you'll be wondering, ma'am, charity itself is very good. Mataji, why are you looking at place? Yes, we will see how charity can be good or bad. So this guy is giving charity of Bhagavad Gita to the right person, right? Place, person, and worthy person. So if, for example, Namanishra Prabhu always says, when you don't give away Bhagavad Gita, sell it. Some amount, because when someone gives money, he sees value. But if you give it away, to a stranger, known person you still can give because you consider this, then there is no value, right? He will go ahead and misuse that. So, sorry, just 1 second. So that is what he says. So therefore, you have to see the person, place, thing, and name when it talks about charity. Just give me 1 second. Hare Krishna. Won't this Prabhu just pause recording 1 second? So what they are telling is you have to see the proper place to give even Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, Bible was given everywhere, and what happened eventually is the Bible was used as a paperweight, right? So that's what will happen. So charity. Now, one more thing which I would like to highlight is today birthday styles, right? What is our style? Hey, what did you get for me? Isn't that the style? Hey, what gift you got me? But those days birthdays were different, right? Our Nand Maharaj had 9 lakh cows, and he used to give every time on his birthday 1,000 cows as charity, fully jeweled. It's not just the cow, fully jeweled, and all this to the rightful Brahmana who deserves it. So that was the effect of charity and the purpose of charity. Whereas, and this is in the mode of goodness. So this is what is in my backdrop. Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place to a worthy person is said to be in the mode of goodness. Now, this is a classic example which I always tell. Let me chant and you'll read and then I'll explain. Hare Krishna. Yattu pratyupakarartham balam udishya vapunah diyate cha pariklishtam anam rajasam shmitam. Hare Krishna.
But charity performed with the expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so this is a typical example, and this is very common, right? So you give charity to a poor, and you ask him, and they say that I take their permission. But just imagine, isn't he in such an awkward position? He can't take charity and tell him, right? So he is already in a very bad situation that he's unable to support his wife and children. He's borrowing from you. And if you ask for a photo, isn't that a very embarrassing scene? Let me just give you an example. Let's say Anuradha Mataji, is traveling and she's in need of a sari. And let's assume that Shobha Mataji is lending. Okay, and we are all on a pilgrimage. How will Anuradha Mataji feel if Shobha Mataji goes around telling everyone, the sari which Anuradha Mataji is wearing is mine. The sari which Anuradha Mataji is wearing is mine. Anuradha Mataji, can you please unmute yourself? And can you tell me exactly if you go through the situation, how would you feel? Are you there? Or if she's not there, somebody else can put yourself in that shoe and tell me how you would feel. Right? So if it is me, I would feel like I'll just take the sari and jump it or give it back.
Yes.
Right? Thank you so much. Because it's very humiliating. And imagine, I gave an example of us, right? One among us who knows probably that, we do not have a financial issue to manage that, but we have probably a time or a place or a thing issue. But here, these are people who are really struggling. And it's like really rubbing the, it's like rubbing the salt on their wound, right? They're already hurt, they're already humiliated. But that time, you take picture and, show selfie and you post it everywhere. And also typically, somebody will tell that I'm going to donate this child. And many times I notice that they don't have their own child's picture in the photo, in the house, but they will have this child picture right there, either in the room or in the hall, and tell everyone, this is the child I'm sponsoring. Fine. But then imagine that child is either lost a parent, or one of the parent is arrested, or is an orphan, or they've junked the child, right? That's a classic orphan. And now imagine the child becomes tomorrow a doctor or engineer. Okay, and he sees this photo. Already he is going through a lot of trauma, even though he has become a doctor. And you keep telling, I made you a doctor. I made you an engineer. Isn't that very humiliating? It's like, for some kind of popularity.
Yes, Mataji.
So, and I always tell, when during floods in our apartment, we all decided we will give the same item. Like we all decided we will give, Pungal, Idli, Sambar. So, everybody's, the dabba is filled. There were few who gave, many didn't, but there were few more who came. They didn't even offer, but they were busy taking selfies near the kunda and posting it. Right? You're neither a part of it. And then you just do. So it's another extreme, right? So there are all the things. So I have my cousin and my cousin wife also. You people do charity. I'm not even aware. We have not seen a single FB, Facebook, because they relate everything to popularity. So on the floods, we still remember that while we were all working, we were trying to get people in our houses, trying to settle in and all that. We just didn't have time to even, think of food. We just were so, really tough. So I still remember the couple trying to take a selfie in the water, right down, and telling that we are now on the trip to go and save the poor. Where can you even take your phone? You will be lost, right? So even these kind of pictures, is very artificially good. So they are all coming out of, the mode of passion. And 17.22, Hare Krishna. Adesha kale yadhanam Apratre vyasha diyate asatvitam avajnanam tamasam udaritam. Hare Krishna.
In charity performed at an improper place and time and given to unworthy persons without respect and with contempt is charity in the mode of ignorance.
So,
Contempt.
this is a typical
Sorry.
example. No, it's okay. Thank you so much. You were reading beautifully. So you know what happened? This BDA, right? No, BD. BD is cigarette. So there's someone who was distributing BDs, needy, right? Is it so much of a need factor? And see, like he's also asking for money. Can you give him weed? He's desperate, right? He will do anything, but still you don't give because this is there. Maybe you can't relate this much, but I'll give you an example, right? So I heard that when Salman Khan enters, and this is typical, enters a particular restaurant, right, or a bar to be more precise, he says on the house, which means that the entire bill of that particular bar is on him, right? So this is so what do people do in bar? They drink and they eat non-veg primarily, and even otherwise they are intoxicated. So what will happen when you do this? You're going to induce them to do more. It is charity, but you see its popularity as well as covered with ignorance. Why is it happening? Because you're trying to overdo something which is not required. His intent may not be bad, right? But the fact is, eventually the charity is waste. It may get him a name, but it also ruins. The same thing happened when we all had been to in Ananagar. There is this waffle, ice creams and all that. So we've all been there. Some of us, and that time, that I think that was Dhanush, the partner or owner of that place. So when we ordered, when we paid, they said not required. Okay, and I said no, it's okay, we'll pay, and I paid. Of course, I was feeling very actually egoistic to tell why should I take it from someone when we have. But the irony is that was mode of passion, right? Because he's not doing anything wrong in terms of the item which he's giving, but still there is a popularity required, so there is a passion attached to it. So whatever charity, instead, if they both had gone and given outside for a needy, or served, then it would be in goodness, and still it becomes Sutta Sattva if they had taken it to Krishna, served him and given, right? It would have become prasad. So that would have been even better. Hare Krishna. So this is a very, very important and a beautiful verse. Om Tat Sat, and we're going to spend some time here. So that's why I finished. So before I go to Om Tat Sat, do you all have any doubts still here? Any doubts still here? No doubts? Okay, then we'll continue. So Om Tat Sat, let me read this alone. From the beginning of the creation, the 3-syllable Om Tat Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth, Brahman. They were uttered by Brahmins, that is Brahmanas, while chanting Vedic hymns and during sacrifice for the satisfaction of Supreme. Do you recall in the 7th chapter, not just in 7th, also in the 10th chapter, and again it comes in the 7, 9 and 10th chapter, we have read that Om is Krishna, right? Om means Omkara and Aum means Akara, Ukara, Makara. Akara means Radharani, Akara means Krishna, Ukara means Radharani, Makara means Jivatma. Right, so that's what it means. So everything starts with Om. I'll start for a change. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. One of you all, come on. What is any? Can you give me a hymn? Anything which starts with Om.
Om Ganganpataye Namaha.
Right. Then some more. Anybody knows more of Om? Any sloka for the
Gayatri Mantra.
Om Namo
Gayatri
Shivaya.
Mantra.
Start. Yeah.
Om Bhur
Anything else? Yeah. Thank you, Sukali. Yes.
Om Namo Narayana.
Yeah. Narayana Visa.
Shanti Mantra Mataji. Om.
What is
Om
that?
Shanti
Om
Shanti.
Swasti Nam Indro.
Okay.
Om Swasti Nam Indro.
Om Shanti Shanti
Om Shanti.
Shanti.
Yeah, correct. Then even this one, right? Om Shuklam Bharadram Vishnum Sashi Bharadam Sadhu Pujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyaye. Correct?
Yes, Ganesh.
Our Isha Upanishad, first mantra, not even first, Mangalacharan, right? Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. All of them. So it means that Krishna is complete. And everything emanating from Krishna is also complete. That should be the next which you will learn first in your level 3.
Om
Thought I'll
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yes, so all this starts with Om. And when you say Hari Om, the Om comes second because Hari is the first, right? Because it's a name. Now, why I brought this up is because many of them will tell. Then why in Maha Mantra we don't use Om? Because Om represents Krishna and Hari represents energy. So when we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, come on all of you, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama Hare Hare Hare.
Thank you so much. So what does it mean? It means that we don't need to start with Om because we are talking about Krishna himself directly. So that's why anything other than Krishna, when you start with Om. Whereas here Hari Om, they say when you start Vishnu Sahasranam, they don't tell Om Hari because Hari it comes first. So this is the sound vibration, and it is virtually used everywhere. And what does it denote? It represents the Brahman, supreme Brahman, and it is the done for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Right? It's called Omkara. So let's read more on this. The same thing, right? So what does it say? Is what is written 17.2. One of you will read Hare Krishna.
Thus the transcendentalists undertake sacrifice, charities, and penances, beginning always with Om to attain the supreme. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om iti etad brahmano nehi noha nama. Right? So basically it's telling that Om is the beginning of everything. Om actually is nothing other than Vishnu. It means Vishnu. It is placed at the beginning of the Vedic hymns to indicate the supreme goal. So our supreme goal is what? To reach Krishna. Right? So it is always placed at the beginning because it means nothing but Vishnu. So the Om, the beginning always is with, so Om is always the beginning. And before you do anything, whether it is charity, sacrifice, or penance. So I'm going to ask you all, what is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya? Because we've been chanting it every single day, right? So what does it mean? So Om we know is beginning. Then come on, I'm sure you know. Namo means
Vasudeva means Krishna.
no, Krishna is not there. Namo is Namaste, right? You're paying obeisances. Om Namo, you're just paying obeisances. So it is like Om, let's say, just to give you an example, represents the garment, right? In general, we're talking about, right? For the happiness. And Namo, you're offering namaskaram, right? Obeisances. Bhagavate, so Bhagavate means Bhagavan, right? So Bhagavan means with 6 opulences. The 6 opulences which we are talking, what are the 6 opulences which represents Bhagavan?
Beauty,
Aishwarya, Yashaha, famous,
Aishwarya as well, correct?
knowledge,
All beauty, all Aishwarya,
strongest,
all
renunciation, all
renunciation, very nice. 2 more.
knowledgeable,
All knowledge and
strongest,
strong already told, all strength.
wealth,
Beauty.
wealth, famous,
Wealth only is
strongest,
Aishwarya.
beauty. Yeah, beautiful,
So all
knowledge
wealth,
and renounce.
all knowledge, all beauty, all strength, all
All
renunciation,
famous,
and yeah,
all famous.
all fame. Right? So this is what is Aishwarya. So that's why they say, even in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says somebody who has the Aishwarya, the 3 Aishwaryas, which is if somebody is from is very wealthy or very knowledgeable, or especially someone is very beautiful, there is a chance of they getting puffed up. So this is not my version. This is what is given in Bhagavatam. Though we may entirely beg to differ, but this talks about overall. So now Bhagavan means with 6 opulence. Now we have a channel here. So it can be Krishna also. It can be Rama also. It can be Narasimha also. Because all of them have 6 opulences, right? So Vasudevaya refers to Krishna. So when you say Om, you're talking, let's say, about the garment. Namo, you're paying obeisances. Bhagavate can be any of them. So it's like I tell Prime Minister. But then when I tell Modi, it's specifically them. So Vasudevaya. So I'm just trying to relate it to our material things so you can get. So you are going into a broader thing and narrowing it down, and you're specifically telling I'm addressing this to you. And this is the mantra. Can you tell me who gave this mantra to whom? Who gave this mantra? Did I invent this mantra or create this mantra? No. So whose mantra? So this is the mantra given by Narada to Dhruva. When he went to the forest, for the want of kingdom bigger than his father's, because the father told him you're not supposed to sit on the lap. He didn't allow him to sit on the lap. And his stepmom Suruchi told that to be in my womb, you have to be born in my womb, or else you go and ask Vishnu. So he comes to ask Vishnu. So that time Narada advises him to go back, but he refuses and he takes Narada as his guru and tells him to show direction. And that moment is when this particular mantra comes. So, so that we know Om. So all of you clear on the Om, because why I am insisting is because I never understood Om Tat Sat in the level 1 for sure. So that is why, and level 2 I was trying to understand. So that's why I want to spend some time here. Hopefully I don't want you all to go through.
Mataji, one more name is there also, that is a Pranavam. Pranavam.
Yes, Prabhu. Pranav means starting. Beginning is called Pranav.
Pranavam.
Are you asking a question, or are you telling me some information?
No, I am asking question. What is the?
Yes, Prabhu.
What I heard is that Pranami is also Om. Om is also, Pranami is also a Om. That is the first sound, like
That's
that.
what I'm saying. The beginning, the first Om and Pranava both are same. It's beginning. The word is highlighted, right? So Pranava is a word. Pranava means beginning. Pranama mantra means first mantra or the beginning. So Om is the sound. What does it denote? It's the first mantra. Just one. It's not there. The shloka is not here. Okay. So it's Pranava mantra, right? So that means it denotes the beginning. Did you understand? Pranava means beginning. The word by itself means that. Right? Thanks. Understood, Prabhu? Shall I go ahead?
Yes, Mataji.
Thanks. So we are going to go to Tat. What is Tat talking about? Yeah, please somebody read this. Hare Krishna.
One should perform sacrifice and charity with the word Tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is get free from the material entanglement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tattvamasi, right? So Tattvamasi, what does it mean? Tvam, right? Aham means me, Tvam means you. So Tattvamasi actually is used in all, most of the time it will come in your prayers, Tat, Tat, and all that. So why? Because it means detached work, which means what? We also understand this Neshkama Karma Yoga, right? The activities are done with disregard for material result. So any activity you do, and Krishna is emphasizing on Tat, because he says that it is very important, because this is one more name. So what are these activities called? Any activity where I give one answer, which is it's called, the type of activity is Naish Karma, but what is the activity called? What is the, what does it come under? Which category? You all know the answer, but I'm not positioning the question well, but give it a try, you will be able to do it.
Nishkama karma.
That's what I told. I know you will tell this. Yes, it's perfect. The type of activity, the nature of activity is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So you follow the Nishkama Yoga, but it will come under what category of karma?
Mode of goodness.
Perfect. Mode of goodness, agreed. And what? It is currently in the mode of goodness. So how will you make it mode of Sutta Sattva? How will it enter the platform?
Yeah, when we sacrifice our work to Lord Krishna.
Yes. How do you sacrifice? You're right. So what is that term called? So if you sacrifice,
that means we shouldn't think
karma.
about the fruity results.
Absolutely, you're there, but I'm just waiting for that word. You should not expect any fruits.
Devotional service, Mataji, devotional service.
Yes, agreed. So what is that? So when you're doing an activity, it's called karma. When you do it for if you give up that for Krishna and give everything to Krishna and surrender to Krishna, that becomes what? What is that word?
Sakama Karma Yoga.
Huh?
Sakama Karma Yoga?
Sakama Karma is giving only partially. Nishkama is a better word.
No.
Nishkama is giving
Nishkama
everything. That was already told. Okay, other word we catch this. If you do forbidden activities, it's called Vikarma. If you do activities which are pious and good, it's called Karma. Huh? So if you do Krishna related activities, or if you surrender the results to Krishna, it is called what karma?
Action in inaction.
Huh?
Action in inaction.
Action in inaction. So what is that called? Action in inaction.
Akarma.
Thank you so much. Perfect. This is what I was expecting. Who said that? Sandhya?
Supriya.
Supriya. Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Supriya. Very nice. So akarma. This is the word I was looking, but eventually you all told that only. So we are talking about karma, right? So therefore, you are going to do detached work for the sake of liberation. So basically, there is expectation of mukti, but however, mukti is also with an intent of giving up on the result. So it's Neshkama Karma Yoga and focusing on karma. So this is what you have to do. So here we are highlighting perform sacrifice. Right? Performance is highlighted. So there we are talking about the beginning. Here you are talking about the execution of the particular activity. Right? So that represents the execution, right? Like sacrifice, penance, or charity, all that we read, right? Which is an execution mode, right? It's not inertia. It's all in action, like as you said, right? But how does it become, action in inaction in action? You're doing action, but how there is inaction because you don't incur themselves. That was a beautiful explanation, right? And that is the third picture. So now we are going to see Sat. So that's very, very important. So covered in 26 and 27 mantra. Hare Krishna. Please go ahead.
The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word Sat. These works of sacrifice, of penance, and of charity, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person, O Son of Buddha. Hare Krishna.
So the object of devotional service is Sat, right? So the object, right? There is a difference between the objective and the object, right? Why I'm highlighting this is because if you go back to your 6th chapter, the object is Krishna, but the objective is not Krishna. So for example, the object is what they focus on. So in initial days, they will focus on Krishna, right? In the Paramatma future, they will bring, but their objective is not to go to Goloka. Their objective is to go and merge in the Brahman effulgence. So the objective is different. So every time I keep telling you, when your object and your objective matches, that is only Bhakti. So your object becomes Krishna, like how we do, and your objective also you want to go to Goloka, right? So the absolute truth is the objective of devotional service. So final destination, whom are you praying? Whom are you thinking? Right? Is Krishna. And that is indicated by the word Sat. These work of sacrifice, penance, and charity, whatever you do, for example, chanting, sacrifice, right? And penance, whatever you do in terms of austerity. You follow any of the, let me just include everything, like reading Bhagavad Gita, all these will come under austerities, right? And Panchoshana kind of practice, we call about Bhagavatam. Everything we do, the austerities which we maintain, and charity we give. I told you all, right? You all can give to Krishna and give food. Many of them told, I believe Annadanam is the best. Yes, you can give charity of the book, holy book, because you're giving knowledge to them, right? They are true to the absolute nature because you're trying to give the most transcendental knowledge, transcendental food. Hunger, how many times hunger and how many people's hunger can you really quench? Is your donation of, I'm not stopping you, please do, but giving one person one full meal is only going to quench his hunger one time, but giving prasad, give him some credits, right? So they're all done to please Krishna. Sadeva Saumya, right? Chandogya Upanishad is saying that. So what does Sat mean? It means eternal. Any activity done in this platform becomes eternal. Which are all eternal? The activity itself is eternal. For example, you're giving Bhagavad Gita or you're giving prasad, you're doing japa. The activity is eternal, right? It is transcendental. The performer, whoever is doing, let's say we are doing japa, right? Or we are serving prasad, right? All these actions are eternal because the performer also is eternal. Because we all know our destination should be Goloka, right? So the performer action itself is in a transcendental platform. So even though we are telling japa from the mouth, which is material, and we hear from the ears, which is also material, the hand which moves the beads is also material. Theoretically, the bead is also material, right? But when all this is happening, when Krishna's name comes out of the mouth, what happens? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It automatically becomes spiritual because this particular thing moves from our spiritual mouth, from material mouth. But when the sound vibration goes to the ears, it becomes, spiritual. So that is the speciality of this. So therefore, the performer also is eternal. The activity is eternal. The activities which are aimed at, what is the aim of doing all this, right? Is mukti, right? To go to Goloka Vrindavan. That is eternal. And what is the benefit? Suppose we don't make it to Goloka Vrindavan. Even then we read this in the 6th chapter, right? Papa punya kritak loka suchitva shashvata samaha suchiman shrimatam deke logo vrishto avijayate. So what happens? That means he comes back with the same credit, unlike a bank balance. So let's say that is making a lot of bank balance. Can someone take? Let's say I have a crore. After I'm dead and I'm reborn, do you think that I will be starting with 1 crore? Krishna will tell, oh, you had 1 crore in your previous work. You work so hard, so let me make you a crorepati and make you start in that platform. Does that happen? Yes or no?
No, no, Mataji.
It happened, right? Oh, you are already a king. In your next birth, I will make you a bigger king. No. Right? So therefore, the activities which are done in the Sat platform, this is what we said, Satchidananda Vigraha, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam, means what? He is eternal. Right? So everything, activities done for the service of Krishna revealed the true spiritual nature. This is the thing which is called true spiritual nature. So I hope you understand the objective is Krishna. So quickly, let me summarize this before I go. Then you will follow this in a stream. So the Om represents the Omkara and it talks about the beginning. You start everything with that. Akarma or Naishkama karmic activities where the results are given to Krishna. And your Sat is eternal happiness, which is the object of devotional service. This is what you reach. And this particular Sat is eternal for the activity, the performer, the whatever the aim as well as the benefits are all eternal. So that's the specialty. Now let's move on to the last verse, which is 17.28. Hare Krishna. But sacrifices, austerities, and charities performed without faith in Supreme are non-permanent. O son of Pritha, regardless of whatever rites are performed, they are called asat, are useless both in this life and next. Very lovely verse, right? So, so what does this mean? So there is this particular Jagannath Puri story, and yesterday I think I told Mohandas Prabhu, so I'm going to repeat this for him again, and all of you can hear. So this is the story of a person by name Uday. So Uday is a very learned Brahmana and a scholar. He did so much of Vedas and he was so knowledgeable. Right? So let me stop screen share first. Hare Krishna. So in Jagannath Puri, what is happening? This is a true incident which happened in Jagannath Puri, and this is this is a person by name Uday. Right? So who is Uday? Uday is a hardcore devotee, is what was an external appearance, but internally he was a Brahmana, very perfect in Vedas. He was a scholar. He knew Sanskrit in and out. Everything about him was so perfect. Right? Now he read a verse which said that anyone who goes to Jagannath Puri, attains mukti. He gets eternal peace. Right? That is mukti. Moksha. So therefore, he decides, okay, I should test this. So if I go and see Jagannath, will I get mukti or not? Because it's written in Shastras. So you have to see, Shastras can't go wrong. So let me go and go to Jagannath. So he packs his bag and goes to Jagannath Puri and decides that I will see Jagannath one full day and come. It's like double bonanza, complete mukti I will get and I will go there. So he is there and the pujari comes. As usual, he goes and arrives before the pujari itself, and he goes there and opens. The pujari is trying to open the door. They're not able to open. And it's a true incident, right? He's trying hard to open. He's just not able to open. And he just realized that someone had locked from inside. And how could that be possible? Because the deities, there is no one who sleeps inside the altar of the deity, right? They tried the entire day from morning to night. It was not possible. And that night, in that pujari's dream, there was this Jagannath Puri, we have this Krishna, right? So he's called Patita Pavana. He's very humble, and Jagannath comes and tells him in his dream that there is this Uday, right? There is this person Uday who's come there. Please ask him to leave. I'm not going to open till he leaves. So, and we didn't understand why. And he said that this Uday doesn't believe me. He has come to test me. I will not open until he leaves. So you ask him to leave. So next day he comes and he asks Uday Chari, who are you? Are you there? And he says yes. He says Jagannath Puri had come in my dream and requested him to leave because he says that you don't believe in him and therefore he will not open the door. So can you please leave? And that time what he left was not himself but his ego. That moment he got faith and he was very lucky. So this is what Jagannath's mercy is, right? He gives mercy even to people who don't believe. So he fell and he surrendered. Right? This is a speciality. And I know you all will ask, Mataji, we are praying so much, but why? See, that is why he's called Patita Pavana. So what happens is, he is, so it's like doctor. So we are unwell. What happens? We go to a doctor. We are not feeling well. So I go to a doctor, I check. Suppose I'm very sick. I just not able to move also. Can't do anything. What happens? The doctor comes to me, right? So this is what happens with Jagannath also, where if you are really sick, you go to him. So all devotees who believe in Jagannath go to him, and all the devotees who feel that, who are very sick, extreme case, Jagannath comes out, and that coming out is called Sraddhätraya. So he comes not only for the non-devotees, but also for people who are not allowed to enter. So there are some caste and religion who have restrictions. So Jagannath is so humble. He says, I will enter you. I will come out. And he walks out in the form of Sraddhätraya. Hare Krishna. So this is a classic example of, Ashraddha, right? How a non-believer is, and how can Krishna be for a non-believer. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And back to the lesson. So this is there. Now we will also come across many classic example of asatya. So for example, we will have some of the kids who will tell that please come to this temple, or please come. They will come. Yes, the power of crossing will work even if you believe or not. But if you do it completely without faith, right, ashraddhya, then it's not permanent. It's very temporary. Whatever you perform, right, it becomes useless, not only in this life, but also there is no credits in the next life. So just for the sake of it, if you do, it's of no use, right? There is no continuity. So that becomes very important, not just in devotional life, even for us, right? If you don't trust each other, right? If I'm going to tell Mohandas Prabhu, you get in at 5:30, okay, but I don't trust you, I can't give you any credentials. What can he do? He can't even help me, right? I have to help him to help me. So that is like lack of faith will make us lose relationship. Same way, if I'm telling, please tell a story, and Arun Prabhu says, I'm willing to tell a story. So I tell Arun Prabhu, I'm not very sure. Can you please do a video coverage and send me a recording? He may still do it. I'm not telling. Fine, he will do once. Now, every day I tell Prabhu, I know you told this story very well, but I'm not sure. Can you record one more story? Can you do this story once and then send it to me? Maybe twice, third time, what he will tell, Mataji, I'll give up on the story. Forget it. Why do we want the story? And Sham Prabhu will tell, Mataji, I don't know, Mataji. Why, Mataji? You don't trust me, Mataji. You understand what I'm saying? So Shraddha is very important even among us. So forget it.
Yes.
If I'm just going to tell, and I always ask this question, that, all of you all, I have so much of belief. So I tell that Govind Prabhu, I believe 90%. Hindu Mataji, I believe 92%. Kartikeya, I believe 30%. Mrinal, I believe 80%. I'm just taking names, there's no thing. And Sandhya Mataji, I believe, like 78%. Shobha Mataji, please unmute. I believe 98%. What will you tell? Are you there, Shobha Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
If I tell, I've given you percentages. I tell you, I trust you in 98%. What will be your immediate reaction?
Yes, Mataji, I'll be happy. Oh.
Yes, you will be happy, right? So if the same thing goes to, I'm just giving an example. So you're happy because you are now having a comparison, right? So if you're seeing, okay, others are all lower, but Mataji has 98%, therefore I'm happy, right? Now I'm going to ask the same thing. So if I tell Arun Prabhu, I trust you 98%, what will be your reaction, Arun Prabhu? Arun, can you, yeah.
Yes, Mataji. 98% is a lot, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, right? So, but if it was somebody like Mohandas Prabhu, let me hear from him. Mohandas Prabhu, what will your reaction be?
I will feel bad because why not 100%? 98%
Exactly.
not fully crossing the well.
Thank you so much. So I'll also feel that. I'll be telling that 98% only. Why is that 2%, 100%? The reason why I'm telling is I've always been brought up with this mentality, which is not true in Krishna conscious, but I'm just sharing this view that love can be different percentage, right? You can love a percent 60%, you can love a person 80%, you can love a person 90%. We have variation. But trust cannot be 98% is what I thought. 90%. Either you trust a person or you don't trust a person. See, either I tell Mohandas Prabhu the controversial thing because I trust him, or I don't tell him anything. I trust him 98%, therefore I will give this information. That means I'm holding. There is a questionability in the trust, right? So what makes this different for you all, and why I brought this up in the forum is for you all are trying to compare. Okay, Mataji is giving me a better position than someone else. There you feel, you're satisfied with the comparison. But if you take the trust factor by itself, and if this is a message I've sent you, I trust you 98%, your reaction would be just the way Mohandas Prabhu. Why 98%, Mataji? What did I do? Would you trust me 100%? right? This will be the kind of feel. Why I'm saying is Krishna conscious is also like that. You have to have trust. And I already told people today in Kali are confused. There was a puja for Navami where in the morning they did a small puja with 4 people and pujari came. Whereas in the night they called and the our ISKCON sannyasi had been there, and this was sometime in Bombay, Pune. And then in the night they had they told, please come. This is a simple tiny puja. Evening we have a very big puja. We have 800 people and 800 boys, girls came. There is Rama photo behind, and there is nothing related to Rama. There was DJ, there was dance, there was food, not prasad, food, everything. They had a gala night, right? And now all of them have assembled with Asat because they are just come for a get together. And also the original puja, which is in the morning, is in the mode of goodness. They said it's just simple. And evening, what will the sannyasi? Nothing, right? That becomes the great get together, right? They call that as the biggest austerity, which is not the case. So today, if you see, we don't even know the difference. And that's why Vedas teach us what is right, what is wrong. And this which is done is not permanent. It is totally temporary, useless both in the current life as well as in the next life. So with this, we'll end the 17th chapter and let's take a quick summary of what Krishna inquires about unauthorized worship. Ye Shastri Viddham Utsrija. So which means against the Shastras, not clearly mentioned. And Krishna says that Taivida Bhavata Shraddha. The modes determine somebody's faith. Bhavati means prayers and Shraddha means faith. Food, we saw Ayush, Sattva, Bala, Rogya. We also saw Ayurveda. What does Ayurveda mean? Veda are Vedas which talk about the health, right? So it talks about sattvic food. Sacrifice done in 3 modes. It talks about Afala, Khan, Shivi. So all sacrifices in the 3 modes. What are they? And the 3 kind of austerities: Pujanam, Saucharam, Hajanam. Saucharam, right? So everything in 3 modes. And the 3 modes of austerity: Pidaya, Kriyate, Tapaha, all tapas in the 3 modes. And charity: Deshe, Kalecha, Patvecha. How do you do charity? And we also saw the ultimate word, Om Sat Sat, Om the beginning, Tat, the process, right? The Sat is the final destination, which is basically the objective, right? It's Krishna. So this is all boiling down ultimately, and this is a very nice conclusion. Hare Krishna to all, and let me tell the prayers and you can ask the Lord. Vanchakalpadurubhyocha, Kripasindhubhya evacha, Patitana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. All of you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama,
Hare Krishna. Any doubts? I also told you if we have time, I will tell a story. We have time. Do you remember which story is that?
Durvasa and Krishna says.
I have doubt, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm just trying to think what story it is because I forgot.
Before Mataji, this regarding this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, I need once again that what is that the meaning? That Om means the Krishna. Namah
Correct.
means
Om is Pranava mantra. Pranava means beginning. So we just saw, right? So that is what it is.
okay. Mataji, Om means Krishna.
Yeah. Om is it's a sound vibration for Krishna.
Namaha.
Om is
Namaha
also spelled as AUM. Akara A represents Krishna. U represents Radharani. M represents Jivatmas.
I'm coming there, Mataji. Once the Namaha means Namaskar. Om Namo. Namaha.
Namo. Om Namo.
Om Namo. And Bhagavate means Bhagavan.
Bhagavati means Bhagwan.
Yes. So what oh Krishna, I am offering you Namaskar. This is what the meaning of that mantra.
Oh Bhagavan Krishna. Vasudevaya is specifically addressing Krishna. The Vasudevaya means what? Vasudevaya means 2 things. One is Vasudevaya also is the son of Vasudeva. And also Vasudeva. Vasu means residing. Deva residing in the heart. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's specifically telling who's residing in the heart, Krishna. Right? So that is what he's addressing because Bhagavan is general, right? So Om is energy, oh Krishna, right? So indirectly Om can represent, yes, it represents Krishna, but it's a very generic sound vibration. It's more like an energy form, right? The, what should I say, Brahman form. The energy, the light form of Krishna is Om, right? Bhagavati can become general. It is Vishnu Tattvas. It can represent Rama or it can represent, Narsimadev. It can represent Balram. It can be anything. So when you say Vasudeva, you're specifically telling, I'm talking to you. I'm addressing you, Vasudeva, who is residing in my heart, who is also son of Vasudeva. So you're so clear.
So that is, I am offering Namaskar to Krishna. This is what the meaning
in respects to the Supreme Bhagavan Krishna. So Bhagavan means Bhagavan feature, which is a person.
Yes, Mataji.
Bring respect, Om, not just the energy, but to you, Krishna, Supreme Form, is what you're doing.
And next is the Om. You said that Akara, Ukara, something is not that. Kindly, once again, I want to note down.
Prabhu, Om can also be written as AUM.
Yes.
So the A is called A plus Akara. Krishna. U is U plus Kara, which is Ukara, represents Radharani. Plus Kara, Makara, represents us, Jivatma. Prabhu, remember when I say Jivatma includes Devatas, demigods, everyone are Jivatma.
Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So, yes, that's it.
And Sat means that is the permanent and eternal Sat.
Yes, it's something which is permanent and eternal. You're doing Japa, Prabhu.
Yes.
So that credit is permanent.
Yes.
Now you decided you will come with us to Goloka Vrindavan.
Yes.
The abode is permanent.
No.
Goloka Vrindavan is permanent, Prabhu.
Yes, yes, that is permanent. Okay.
Yeah, permanent. Now you're coming there and you will permanently stay there. That is also permanent.
Yes.
Right? So everything is permanent. So permanent means eternal. Permanent actually another permanent is a colloquial language for eternal, right? Eternal it means permanent. So everything is eternal. So that is what Sat means.
And Asat means that is the opposite word to Sat.
Asat is opposite word. Ashad and Asat are different. Asat is opposite to Sat, which is temporary.
Asatya means
ASAT is temporary. But here they are referring to Asad, ASAD, which means they are talking about, Shraddha, Ashadaya. Here they are referring to lack of trust.
Yes.
Trust. Asadraya means lack of trust. If you are having lack of trust, you become Asad, you become temporary. And you get body. You know the expansion of body, Prabhu?
What is, madam?
Do you know the expansion of body?
No.
B means birth. Don't write down, I'm just a creator. B means birth. O means old age. D disease. And Y means, I'm not going to tell you, all have to tell. Innovation from you all. What does Y means?
Young.
Huh?
Young. Y
means what?
Young.
No, Prabhu. Birth, old age, disease, and what comes last?
And that is the vanishing. We have to leave.
Old age. Old age is already covered. Birth,
old age,
disease, and
vanish.
Death. People cannot open his mouth and tell death. Right? So that is why we coined instead of death this word by, which is equal to Yamaraj. Death. He will come now. So birth, old age, disease, and Yamaraj, right? Death. So if we want to go out of it, we have to have and believe in Sat and become eternal, and you have to have Shraddha and become eternal by becoming Sat, by practicing the Om and focusing on Krishna, which is the objective. Hope
yes. Shraddha is very, very important, Mataji, because Krishna also said, Shraddhavan labate jnana.
Very nice, Prabhu. Prabhu is also in Vedaya, Vedist. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, got it?
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much. So, anybody else? Okay, now I told I will tell Dhruva's story, but for a change, I think you all are going to tell Dhruva's story. Dhruva's story is what I told I'm going to tell. Is that right? Yes or no?
Durvasa and Krishna.
Dhruva and Krishna. Thank you. I was just thinking.
But
okay, I'll tell you Dhruva and Krishna story. And yes, Prabhu.
But Mataji, some other Mataji or Prabhuji has to tell the story.
Many will tell, but first I will tell. Is that okay?
Okay.
So I will go on this. Hare Krishna. So I am going to tell you the story in Goloka Vrindavan, because there also you should know after you come there what all happening, right? So what is happening is, this is the Dhruva Muni is coming to visit Krishna. Dhruva Muni is someone who's, you all know that he can go to any loka, and Dhruva Muni is none other than Amsa of Shiva. So Dhruva Muni comes there to visit Krishna, and Krishna calls the gopis and he says that Dhruva Muni is coming and please make a sumptuous meal. So all the gopis are preparing so much meal and they're not even tasting. Not like us, no. We will finish one round before the guests come. But those days, they will keep everything very nice and they kept everything. Now what happens? Durvasa Muni has gone to take bath, there on the other side of the shore of Yamuna, in the Golokapunda. So the gopis are saying that food is ready and it's all there. What should I do? Krishna says, Durvasa is a little tempered. You better carry the food and go and give it there. They say, Krishna, how will we carry? Yamuna is there. So how can we cross? Krishna says, don't worry. Yamuna is someone who loves food, right? Tell this truth to her and she will give way. They say, yeah, you yourself tell, because sometimes we will think it's truth and we may tell it should not. This is no problem. You go to Yamuna and tell that Krishna always believes in celibacy, right? So celibacy, you all know, right? Something like brahmacharya, somebody who's very disciplined. So all the gopis are, Krishna, oh my God, Krishna and celibacy, isn't it more like not the synonyms but antonyms of each other? Because Krishna had 16,000 wives, 16,108 wives, gopis he has, and he's so sweet. And how can you tell, he's talking about closest relationship as Madhurya Rasa. How can he tell this? But, gopis always follow what Krishna says. And they go and tell Yamuna, okay, I will go ahead and, tell. And they tell, hey, Yamuna, Krishna always maintains celibacy. Immediately Yamuna gives way. But still they go ahead. Because for them all hero worship, right, Krishna. So they go and they go to Durvasa Muni. And all the food they are giving him first, and then they thought they will eat. Now Durvasa Muni sees all the food and he's so happy and he eats everything. All fully he eats, not a single grain for any gopis. And they are all stunned, but they are fine because you have to take care of the guests. So they tell Durvasa Muni, I have a doubt. We have come here and tell a truth. Now to go back also we need a truth, right? So we didn't realize that. Can you help us because we want to go back to Krishna? So he says, no problem. That's a simple thing. Just go to Yamuna and tell that I am I'm fasting. I'm always fasting. Right? So what do you tell for fasting in Sanskrit? I forget this. I don't get this. So that's why I'm asking. Upavasam. Thank you so much. Upavasam. So he's always in Upavasam. And the gopis are telling, oh, Yamuna is like close to Krishna. So she wouldn't care if Krishna is lying, right? Because she's very fond of Krishna. Why would she tolerate Durvasa Muni, right? So if it's a lie, we are going to go underwater. There is no way we'll see Krishna. So they all chant Krishna's name and they tell Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And they go. They are going desperately. Okay, they are going over there. And they tell with so much fear, right? Durvasa Muni is in Upavas all the time. Yamuna gives way. They don't even talk. They just cross and come to Krishna and they are like looking so stoned and so pale. And Krishna is asking what's happening. Why are you guys so pale? What's wrong? And immediately they say, Krishna, you better explain. You know what's going on in our mind. We don't understand. So Krishna laughs and he says, okay, I'll explain. So from my point of view and Durvasa point, both I will tell. So it's not that Yamuna gave way because it likes me. Yes, she likes me. That's not the reason because she spoke the truth. I have always been in Madhurya Ras, which is the highest, not because I like it, it's because my devotees like. I have married 16,108 wives because they like. In spite of all this, I never wanted any girl in my life for myself, not for my satisfaction. So whatever I have done is for the satisfaction of them, of my devotees who want me in that rasa. So whether I'm in Shanta Rasa, I reciprocate, or Dasya Ras, or Sankhya Ras, or Vatsalya Ras, or Madhurya Ras, it's their want. So especially Madhurya Ras is because of that. So therefore, Krishna also followed celibacy. So celibacy does not, though we understand celibacy is something to do with brahmacharya, ashram, but celibacy of a person who's married is also called celibacy because he maintains what is grahastha rule, which means he will live only with his wife. He will have Krishna conscious children. That is also considered celibacy. Now coming to Durvasa Muni, Durva Asa means actually somebody who eats grass, survives on grass, right? So that was his specialty. That's how he got the name. He is permanently in Upavas, but point is, why did he give? He didn't eat because he wanted for his tongue or his stomach. He ate because gopis had prepared. And these days are different, right? These days the guest comes in with winter. Oh my Krishna, he's eating so much. Will you leave something for us? But those days was different. They used to be so happy the more the guest eat, because they feel that's the way of taking care of the guest. And he wanted to satisfy the gopis, so he ate everything. Right? Otherwise, it's not possible to eat everything. But he wanted to give satisfaction to every gopi. So he ate. So therefore, he is not craving for food. We saw this in Nectar of Instruction first, right? Vacho vegam, manasakroda vegam, jigva vedam, udaro prashta vegam, etan vegan vishes dhiraha, sarvan apiman pratishyat. Clearly saying that I am doing all this for ourselves, right? Not for me, but for you. The moment you think of you, it becomes complete giving up of material wish, and it is totally done for the satisfaction. And therefore, Durvas Muni is also permanently fasting. Now, can you go back to that word which I told about celibacy and relates? So that's why I said word celibacy. Hare Krishna, and thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Now, yeah, thank you so much, Babu. Now, you all, time for you all. Who's going to tell the story? I'm going to. Any other doubts, I can address that. Otherwise, we can go ahead live on stories. Who's on the storyline? Who's telling story? Who's telling story? You all should take turns. Manorama, you're unmuted. Are you trying to talk or you've accidentally unmuted? Anybody would like to tell story? And also two things. Our next class, as I said, Monday, Tuesday will not be there. Tuesday, 13th chapter will be told at 3 o'clock, but the ID is different. Mohandas Prabhu will communicate the ID. You can log in, and that's a youth class. So you will have the 13th chapter revision by Vrinda Prabhu. So you can go through that chapter. Please complete all your quiz. I'm getting some queries on the quiz. So please complete your quiz. Level 3 will start immediately anytime, because level 3 already, I have a batch, evening batch, which is complete. So 2 batches will get over. When is the next class is? We will have the next class on what? When is it, Prabhu? Monday, Tuesday, is that? Okay, second and third. Second and third. Third is the last day. In fact, not, I think fourth should be the last day, because 18 chapters is going to be difficult for me to finish in 2 days. Would you like to have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? What would you prefer? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? That sounds better, right? So we'll have an estimate. If we need, we can extend by a day. That's fine. So we will connect again on the 2nd of May on this platform again. And that will be the 18th chapter. Do not miss. Please finish all the quizzes. You have clearly 10 days time for you to keep up the gap. Finish your quizzes. Any doubt, please connect to Mohandas Prabhu. Also, I would like to know if anybody would be interested in teaching. Any kind of teaching. It could be kids, it could be storytelling for the other team. Or would you be interested in any admin work? Admin work is not necessarily high-end admin work like Mohandas Prabhu. It could be just like sending a WhatsApp message to a group, right? Any service is fine. Would you like to connect yourself? I'm not asking you to raise hands, but you can message in WhatsApp to Mohandas Prabhu, or you can message in the chat box with your numbers to Mohandas Prabhu. He can make a note and connect you and along.
I will also mention that in the sadhana form today.
Yes, please submit your sadhana. Thank you.
I'm going to send it today. In that, I will add.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. And is there anything, somebody were asking about where can you write the reviews? Yes, Mohandas Prabhu will create a Google form next time along with your sadhana, or a separate review form. On the 18th day, we will have that. So there you can write all your reviews, whatever you want to talk about, whatever anger you have on me, you can take it on me. So that's one thing. Besides that, anything else you all have doubts? Any other doubts, or anybody telling story? No story? I'm sure Shyam Prabhu and Arun Prabhu both have stories. Or Mohandas Prabhu, you have a story you want to share?
If Shyam Prabhu has got, let him share, Mataji. Otherwise, I will.
Yes, Shyam Prabhu, do you want to tell a story, or you want more?
No, Mataji.
Sorry?
No, Mataji.
No, okay, Mohandas Prabhu, on to you now.
Mohandas
Okay,
Prabhu.
okay, just give me a second. I will.
Yes. I will give you time for your makeup, Prabhu. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So I'll put you in spotlight meanwhile, and then you can. Many of you wanted to see Mohandas Prabhu. In fact, we all told that we wanted to keep videos on today, right? At least for a few minutes. Do you want to do it today, or 1 second, Prabhu? I'm just wondering. Prabhu, you are, why I'm not able to put you on spotlight, add spotlight. Prabhu, I'm not even able to put spotlight. Prabhu, can you put spotlight on yourself? Oh, okay. There are two Mohandas, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, you can start, but I'll try and keep putting spotlight. Yes, go ahead. Yes, Prabhu. Mohandas, Prabhu, are you asking us to wait or what's the plan? Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj, I can hear you. Just give me a
Yeah, no problem.
Adi Leela presentation.
Yes, Prabhu.
Story, 1 minute, please.
We are not able to see you still.
Yeah. Just give me a second.
No problem. Take it. Until then, do you want to hold recording, Prabhu?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. And then continue.
Yeah. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. So, I'm going to take you through a story from Adi Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Adi Leela. So, it's a nice story where we are going to talk about Gopala Chapala. So, that's a nice story. So, I'm just going to take you through a presentation in the presentation format. So, it'll be easy for you to comprehend also. So just give me a second as I share my screen. Yeah. You're able to see my screen, please?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, good. So just to give a background for you, the word Chaitanya means it's a living force. So Charita means character and Amrita means immortal. So I think we should all understand this basic meaning of Chaitanya. The word Chaitanya, Chaitamrita then means maybe translated as a character of the living force in immortality. So that's a message. So some facts I want to also give you, because before giving the story, I think since Chaitanya, Chaitamrita may be somewhat not familiar to many, I thought some background would be helpful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we all know, is an incarnation of Lord Krishna and Radharani. And he was born as Vishwambar. Original name was Vishwambar Mishra, and as the second son of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. Okay. And he was born in present-day West Bengal, near Navadip. And today now it's called as Mayapur. It's close to that. So, and he was a proponent of Achintya Beda, Abeda Tattva that we all see. And since he was born under the neem tree, he was called as Nimai also. And because of his golden complexion, he was called Gauranga. So, this is the background. So now I'll go straight to the story. See, this is a story which Gopala Chapala, he was one of the devotees there, and we have an exalted devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Srivasa Thakura. So this incident is between these two people. So Srivasa Thakura is an incarnation of Narada Muni, and we meditate upon Srivasa Thakura and his companions. And both Srivasa Thakura and his wife were very close friends of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra, who were the parents of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One night, while the Kirtana was going on in Srivasa Thakura's house, and a Brahmana, whose name was Gopala Chapala, he was a non-believer. He was not a believer, he was a non-believer. And he was a person who was very talkative, very rough in his speech, and he was not in a person in a goodness mode. So he placed the when we worship the demigods like goddess Durga and all. I mean, there are certain paraphernalia, like we keep some different flowers and things like that. That I will come in a moment and explain to you. So he kept all those things outside Srivasa Thakura's door. Why he kept is that because we all know Srivasa Thakura is an ardent devotee of Krishna. But then if he kept the paraphernalia of worshipping of other devotees in front of his door, people may mistake that Srivasa Thakura is worshipping some other deity, so that it will smear the reputation of Srivasa Thakura. That was his intention. So why he did it is because of the false ego, and he wanted to defame Srivasa Thakura, I was mentioning. So what happened was, when he kept that, then the people all came to Srivasa Thakura's house, and then they all saw this. But then, do you think that people believed that Srivasa Thakura was doing sacrilege, or he was worshipping the demigods? Definitely no, isn't it? Because the people, all the people, they knew that Srivasa Thakura is respected, and they all know that Srivasa Thakura is ardent devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And so the things that this Gopala Chapala placed in the doorstep of Srivasa Thakura, like, the red flower, plant and pot of wine, etc., etc., even though saw all these things, they never believed it. So what they do in those days, what happened was that there used to be a village panchayat, isn't it? So that's where people try to sort out things. So what they did was that they called the village panchayat, and then they said, okay, Srivasa Thakura is actually worshipping the demigods, so it's not right. So let us check with him. So they all called Srivasa Thakura and asked him, okay, are you worshipping the demigod? Then Srivasa Thakura said yes, because he didn't want to actually, defame Gopala Thakura in Chapala or anything. And he said, yes, I do worship. And what happened was, then they called, but then what the villagers, this panchayat people did was that, okay, fine. And they called a sweeper, and they threw all the items away. And then they did not actually impose any sort of, I would say, action on Srivasa Thakura, because they knew that it was, Srivasa Thakura would never do such a thing. So it happened. So then, the village panchayat did not misunderstand Srivasa Thakura, in spite of all this clear evidence and all that being present. So the moral of the story is that a true devotee is always under the protection of the Lord and is never misunderstood. So there was some evidence and all that was kept there. So with this in mind, what happened was that after 3 days, what happened was this Gopala Chapala developed leprosy, in the sense that he was attacked by leprosy, and all over his body, blood used, and all those things, what happens. Eventually, he knew that, okay, it was only because bad deed he has done. And he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then he said, oh, I must, can you just give me, can you deliver me? Can you relieve me from this particular situation? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, initial reaction was that, no, he chastised him. He said, you are a sinful person, and you are envious of my pure devotee, so I will not deliver you. You deserve this. And then he sent him up initially. And also, not only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even his family and society, they shunned this person, Gopala Chapala. And eventually, after some time, when he realized his mistake and all that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again, he said, okay, went to the Srivasa Thakura and then said, see, now how do I get out of this? Then Srivasa Thakura said, see, you have committed an offense. First, you must go there and beg for his mercy. And if you get his blessings, then you will be freed. Then what happened was Srivasa Thakura showed mercy on this person, Srivasa Thakura, and he again went back to Chaitanya, and then he begged for his mercy again. Then what the Lord said was that, okay, now pure devotee doesn't take anything offensive, and now if you go back and if you really own your sin, then you will get benefited. After that, Srivasa after that, Gopala Chapala, after really feeling for his sin, he begged for the mercy, and eventually Lord gave him, he freed him from this. So we have some few lessons from this. One is that, even when we are an ardent devotee, nobody would mistake it, even in spite of he being framed by others or if he is defamed by others. That is one important lesson we get out of the story. And the second lesson what we get is that if the Lord doesn't tolerate anyone trying to blaspheme his devotee. But then if one really makes any mistake, but then if he really surrenders, then Lord will help it. So these are the three messages that we get out of this story. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very nice to even re-hear it again. Hare Krishna. If you would like to share any story, realization, and thank you, Mohandas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Excellent story, Prabhuji. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So if there is nothing much, we can end the meeting if we are done. So we will meet again on the 2nd of May for our last chapter. Is that fine? So thank you so much.
Mataji.
You can
Hare Krishna.
end the meeting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare